If you can see it here, and you have the courage enough to speak it, it will happen. So I see these shots, I see these sequences, and I don't shy away from them. A lot of times people believe in certain things, but they keep to themselves. They don't put it out there. If you truly believe in it, if you become vocal with it, you are creating that law of attraction, and it will become reality.
There's this thing about people, and they talk about manifesting. It's real, man. Manifesting is real. When you figure out who you are and what you want to do, and you devote your life to it like a maniac, like you're all in on this thing, and you manifest, most of these people end up, you know, doing what they say they're going to do and being who they say they're going to become. It's real. And there's no excuses. There's no days off.
If you had the opportunity to play this game of life, you need to appreciate every moment. A lot of people don't appreciate their moment until it's past.
Recognize the excuses are not valid. They aren't. They're trumped up. They're conjured up. They're fabricated. They're lies. And how do you stop the lies? You stop the lies with the truth. The truth. The truth will set you free. The truth will stand, and the truth will deliver you from procrastination and laziness and the downward spiral that comes with a lack of discipline. So don't believe the lies, believe the truth. And the truth is, you have time. You have the skill, you have the knowledge and the support and the willpower and the discipline to get it done.
A big challenge or big pressure is like a fire. It's like a raging fire. Either you can allow this fire to consume you and just take you over completely, or you can gain control of this fire and harness it, and you blow it right at your opponent like Dragon Ball Z style. All right, so that's what I'm trying to do. I try to get my emotions under control.
If a person would sit down and let their body relax, totally relax, okay, and then start to visualize in their mind, see themselves the way they want to see themselves. See how you'd like to live your life. See yourself living it that way. Okay. Now understand that that's a picture in your mind. And then take that picture and describe it. Write it out in the present tense. I am so happy now that I see myself, and write it out. But write out a description of how you'd like to see yourself. Start to read it, and read it, and read it, and read it every day. Carry it around and keep reading it. The one point that all the great teachers, all down through history, have all agreed on, they've been in complete unanimous agreement on it, we become what we think about. Now, it may be fantasy at first, it might even appear to us as being a lie. But if you read it often enough, you'll start to believe it. And when William James said, believe and your belief will create the fact, you will see the person's personality change. I watch people in the seminars, personality change right in front of my eyes. And all they're doing is starting to see themselves different. They're starting to think different thoughts.
Through success, I represent the possibility of what you can achieve and what you can do with your life and your career. Other people's success represents the possibility of what you can do. Those are the records that you can sell. Those are the type of tours that you can do. Those are the kind of songs that you can produce and the songs that you can write. Those are the millions of dollars that you can get, or billions. Those are the type of architectural drawings and buildings that you can build. Those are the type of books that you can sell. Everybody else's success represents the possibility of what you can do. But if you don't believe you can do it, guess what? You're gonna be some janky ass, lazy, bum ass, depressed, sad, miserable person.
You have to explore, examine the insides of yourself. And what do you really want out of life? Your friend and a lot of people out here just don't want it. So guess what? Have fun with your life. Go from 3 to 350 to 400 to 450 to 500 because you don't want it. And that's the harsh reality. I can't give you shit. You can't give him shit. I can give you ideas. the end of the day, when I was losing the weight, I had to miserably wake up every morning in the cold, because it was Indiana, November when it started. I was miserable.
Nietzsche said, "I know of no better life purpose than to perish in attempting the great and impossible." The fact that something seems impossible shouldn't be a reason to not pursue it. That's exactly what makes it worth pursuing. Where would the courage and greatness be if success was certain and there was no risk? The only true failure is shrinking away from life's challenges.
The only way you can believe in a thing or an idea or even yourself is because you have the evidence behind you that supports that your belief isn't full of shit. So that when you're in that room and you come up with that one number and you say, I think everyone's wrong, I think this is actually what it's worth, you're not just making it up to say you believe something different. You actually have proof and evidence that you're not full of shit. And I think that's the work, is like, I looked into a lot of the stuff on the floor sleeping. I think it checks out. I'm gonna do it.
Your life is a book. You got a bunch of chapters in your book, but when they close that book, how good was the book? How good was your book? What was the ending to your book? If the ending to my book can be so amazing because of all that was done, not the money, all that was accomplished, the first to do, the man that did this, he caused a merger between this. Because of his commitment and growth to this, the communities were then given this, made education this, changed the way the schooling was, blah, 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 gave books, gave computers, gave all of the things that can be associated with you and your existence become a part of the chapters in your book. So my drive is about my book.
So your brain needs pressure. It needs constant pressure, and stress and pressure is not a bad thing. We have this thing where we feel like stress is bad. It's bad for you. Bad. You need to relax, man. You need to chill. Stress will kill you. No, being bored will kill you. Not having anything to do will kill you. Is much more dangerous than stress. Yes, you can work too hard. You can work where there's no soul involved. I work like a fiend because I'm writing a book. And it's a very hard process for me. And I'm working far too much, but man, I love it. It's fantastic, right? And it could kill me. The stress could kill me, gave me a stroke. But I'd rather die under the stress than be bored and have nothing to do.
Self-belief, and what does it mean to be confident? And what does it mean to be a winner? How do you become a winner? And I would watch hours and hours of Tony Robbins and Les Brown and TED Talks, and I taught myself how to believe in myself and how to think that I was greater than just this kid that was a dropout who, never really had great grades, never really was the starter, never was the captain of a team. I was just always kind of this average person, and overnight I taught myself that I could be great and change myself forever. And I'm forever grateful, and I'm never going back.
How I build belief is through the daunting tasks I put myself through. So that's proof positive that I can. So it correlates. And that's how this piece of shit kid I once thought I was built belief by saying, I was in 3 Hell Weeks. I went to Ranger School. I tried out for Delta Selection.
Undeniable stack of proof.
That is proof. So whenever you think you can't, the confidence comes from the thing that you built. You must build belief. You must build confidence. It can't be like, hey, I'm gonna go knock that shit out. You gotta look over here and say, I can knock that shit out. It's belief, and it's built on what you put in to yourself.
I learned that I don't let the highs and the lows affect me too much, because we're gonna have wins, we're gonna have losses. We're gonna have successes, we're gonna have failures. We're gonna have good nights, we're gonna have bad nights. We're gonna have good relationships, we're gonna have bad relationships. We're gonna have good ideas and bad ideas. We're gonna make money, we're gonna lose money. All these things are gonna happen. And if you oscillate emotionally up and down drastically, it's gonna be problematic. So finding a good, stable, centered way to be and
look at the world and take everything that you see with a little bit of a grain of salt and don't get swayed too drastically in one direction or the other, you're going to be okay.
I think having a larger narrative of where you're ultimately going, one, gives you the vision of where you're knows where he's going, but it allows the dragons that you have to slay along the way, the hard things that you have to overcome, to feed into the larger narrative of the story that you'll someday tell. And so no one ever tells stories about the hero who made it all happen immediately and had no hardships. No one cares, right? Okay, you were born to a billionaire. Is there a story there? Not really. But everyone loves the story because we can see ourselves in the character and how much we hope to be like them. And it's the being like them, not the having what they have, that we usually like. And so reframing ourselves as the hero of that narrative in my harder times was what really got me through that, and thinking, I will tell this story someday.
I cracked the code to human potential in myself. And I was still like, oh my God, this is unbelievable what I just did. So it's that quiet place. Wow. It's that place by yourself. It's those hours and years and decades by yourself in the grip of life. When life has you by the throat and choking you out, and you're sitting there calm because you're trying to figure it out. You're not panicking. You're not quitting. You're not throwing in the towel. You're saying there's a way around this. And when you figure it out, when life has you gripped in a vice, and you can figure that out, that's when you overcome.
Fear is never reaching your potential.
That's it.
That always falling short, always quitting before you're done, always procrastinating, always not doing the right thing. And then one day you're an old man.
Yep.
And you look back and go, God, I could have been great.
Yep.
I could have been great.
I never forget one time I was running by a graveyard. I was just trying to become, I was fat. And I ran by a graveyard and I looked out there, and I have all these epiphanies, man. I have all these fucking moments of it's crazy, man, of just thought. Cause I'm always by myself and I'm always in deep fucking thought about how to be better. And I look out there, I'm like, man, I wonder how many in there fucking just are so upset with how you lived your life and fucking just regret how you lived it. And I'm running a 300-pound man thinking, man, don't fucking die like this, bro. Don't die like this. So people wonder where this shit comes from me. It comes from such deep thought of trying to see what this is all about. What is this life all about? What am I all about? Why am I here? I had to find purpose. And my suffering, it had a purpose. It had a fucking purpose.
All of those things that you had rendered axiomatic start to become questionable. And that's like the shark coming up from the depths to pull you down. And that's the classic way of representing that and of symbolizing it. That's Jonah and the whale, for example. So it's something is manifests itself from the deep unknown and pulls you under, like an alligator at a water hole, which is, I'm sure, one of the sources from which we derived that particular kind of mythological representation. Because you could imagine that when we were on the veldt, after living on trees, we had to go down to the damn water holes, and you've watched enough nature programs to know what a Nile crocodile can do to a water buffalo. It's not pretty. And so to go down to the water, the chaotic water, and the source of all life as well, right, is to risk an encounter with the terrible thing that lurks in the depths.
Just go do something. Like what you did by taking a job when you would show up at a gig and you'd be working there Tuesday through Sunday and then take a day job and work 9 to 5. That is more hustle and more hustle mindset than anything you're ever going to get out of an Anthony Robbins book. Like that is like just doing it. Just doing it makes you do more. Like do more hard shit makes you do more hard shit. Yeah. Understanding that you want it bad, so you're willing to put into work and do things you don't want to do. It's what makes you have that confidence that you know how to push through, and the mentality that I'm the type of dude to get shit done. Like I'm not gonna waste my day just sitting around a fucking hotel room. No, I'm gonna go to work. I'm gonna work all day. I'm gonna drive 5 hours and keep that radio gig, and then drive 5 hours and spend 10 hours of the fucking 24 in a day in a goddamn car to do gigs. Forward focus.
Yes.
You don't know if you want to do it, or you don't know if you are going to be able to come back from it.
Both.
Oh,
like,
both
I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I want to do it.
Got it.
I mean, it's a long
Yes.
process. But like, when I went in the trainer's room, my kids are in there, and you know they're looking at you and stuff, and I'm looking at them, and I'm like, you know, it's all right. Dad's gonna be all right. It'll be fine. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. As a parent, you gotta set the example. You gotta set the example. This is another obstacle. This obstacle cannot define me. It's not gonna cripple me. It's not gonna be responsible for me stepping away for the game that I love. I'm gonna step away on my own terms. And that's when the decision was made that, you know what, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Everything starts to corrupt your mind. You start to look around too much at other people and what they're doing, and that starts to corrupt your own dialogue. We are judging ourselves against too many fucking people. You have to judge yourself against yourself. And that's the one thing I started learning, man. This isn't a race against me and Rich Roll. This is a race against David Goggins and David Goggins alone. And once you can silence all that bullshit, all the outside interference and things that are attracting your mind to everything, you can then start to grow in realizing I'm stressed out for no reason. This is my own little race. This is my own timeline, and this is how I'm gonna run it.
But there's been many people that have just put their foot down and said, enough. I'm gonna change my life. And they don't take any excuses, and they feel way better. Diet is most certainly a part of that, but there's also a discipline aspect. And these things are not mutually exclusive. They exist together. They're all together. And they work symbiotically. The way your mindset affects the choices you make with your diet. And the mindset also affects the choices you make in terms of like whether or not you require yourself to exercise. And I think these are critical aspects that people like to gloss over, or they like to make excuses about.
I don't like my life. The person that I need to punish or get back at is the real person who got me here, which is me. And so you may be right that other people did certain things or you got dealt a bad hand. It also doesn't matter, because the only thing that you can control is obviously the actions that you take. And the only person who's in control of that is you. And so the revenge porn is thinking about what the version of you who got you here did, and then acting in the exact opposite of that as many times as you possibly can. And the pain that you feel by rejecting the thing that you used to do that got you into this bad circumstance, that's the real revenge.
Get over yourself, right? Like you're worried about how people may perceive you, and like you're walking around and it's embarrassing because you shot 5 air balls. Get over yourself, right? And then after that, it's okay, well, why did those air balls happen? Got it. High school, year before, we played 35 games, max, right? Week in between, spaced out, plenty of time to rest. In the NBA, it's back to back to back to back to back to back to back. I didn't have the legs. So you look at the shot, every shot was online. Every shot was online, but every shot was short, right? I gotta get stronger. I gotta train differently. The weight training program that I'm doing, I gotta tailor it for an 82-game season, so that when the playoffs come around, my legs are stronger and that ball gets there. So I look at it with rationale and say, okay, well, the reason why I shot air balls is because my legs aren't there. I go, well, next year they'll be there. That was it.
That's when I started looking at people, not just SEALs, but people very differently, man, because I bit into like to be the special operator, you gotta have broken legs, and these guys, all those stories. I was the same guy, man. I put people on a pedestal. I put people, I can never be them. I can never be that guy, man. Never put anybody on a pedestal. That's what happened to me. I put them on a pedestal, and once I got up there with them and I saw them, and once again, not everybody. Some hard out there, dude, period, dot, hard. I thought every fucker was hard. It ain't.
Uncommon amongst uncommon men.
That's all it was about for me, man. And I took it to another level, and I pissed a lot of off.
I think that there's a certain delusional quality that all successful people have to have. You have to believe that something different than what has happened for the last 50 million years of history. You have to believe that something different can happen.
Pain is temporary. temporary. It may last for a minute or an hour or a day or even a year. But eventually it will subside and something else will take its place. If I quit, however, it will last forever. And the problem with most of you, you never felt no pain before. Y'all spoiled. Y'all spoiled. Some of y'all spoiled. Just bottom line. Your parents have done everything for you. You never had to do nothing for yourself. You're spoiled. We're going to keep it real tonight. Some of you are spoiled brats. Every time you ever got in trouble, somebody in your house got you out of it. Every time you've done something you're not supposed to do, people say, Eric, your mother's a tyrant. You're right. She kicked me out. You're right. She's mean, but she developed a man because she put me out there and said, you're going to have to grow up. And some of you have never learned to grow up. And so every time something get hard, you quit, you call mama. I dare you to take a little pain.
Imagine that you're trying to walk across a swamp and the swamp is murky, but you know there's a path. You know there's a path of stone under the water, but it twists and moves. And if you stay on the path, you won't drown. The crocodiles in the swamp won't devour you. And as you walk forward, you can feel with your next step where the stone might be. And then you feel it's solid, and you take that step, and then you do the same thing with your foot again. You search and you find out what's solid, and you step on it, and you move forward in that manner. That's what you do with your words. It's the same thing. You feel, and you feel, is this the right word? Is the fact that I'm uttering it putting me together and making me intact and stronger, or is it tearing me apart and making me dissolute and weak? And you can learn to do that.
It's a redemptive power that making a choice has, you know, rather than feeling like you're at effect to all the things that are happening. Make a choice, right? You just decide what it's going to be, who you're going to be, how you're going to do it. Just decide. And then from that point, the universe is going to get out your way. It's water. It wants to move and go around stuff, you know.
So this guy just passed me. He said, Goggins, just be average today. Some of you just don't understand. Some of you been average for so damn long, you don't know what it is to do hard work. But there's a lot of you out there who want to be much more than average, but just don't know how to do it every single day, the grind. You need to find someone to oil those fucking gears up. So check it out. This is a mindset. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But there's a out there who wants what you have, who wants the position you are, who wants the job you have, who wants the wife that you have, or the husband. There's someone out there hungry and wants everything you fucking have. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But if it is, it's gonna be your ass. So make that a motivation for you. Stay hard.
I would prefer to take the extreme opposite position of everything will suck, and eventually you will get good at the things that you suck at, and then you'll enjoy being competent at that thing, which will then probably give you status, and you'll enjoy the fruits of status more than the pain of doing the thing. And in so doing, create a positive feedback loop that you'll actually keep sticking with it. And so I'd rather set the expectation that everything is terrible all the time, forever. Now let's see if we can become the person who can still do it anyways, and start that as the baseline rather than trying to assume that I need perfect conditions in order to start. Because, I mean, starting is the perfect condition. Like whatever condition that you're in, that you start, was the perfect condition.
Every day of my life, I go back and revisit that place, because that place made me this good animal. That place made me this hard man. And then from that place, so that place is hard work. That place is going back to the fundamentals of life. The fundamentals of what made David Goggins. Going back in there, going back to the library of David Goggins, studying even more than what I know, taking that out, going back to where I'm at now, and then moving forward. So I believe always taking steps backwards to your roots. We cannot forget the roots and what made us the good animal. We can never become civilized.
It's not going to go away. You got to be aggressive. That's got to be your default mode, is to take action and make things happen. Because most human instinct is to wait. Most human instinct is to hesitate. Most human instinct is to let things go longer and stick with the status quo, and that seems to be on the front the lowest risk in the situation, is to not do anything. It usually appears to be the lowest risk.
Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
I had to make my actions so much louder that I was no longer going to be that way for an extended period of time to counteract that thing. And so if we're thinking about like how to respond to people being shitty to you, if you believe what they say and it's true, agree and one up. If what they say is something that isn't true but does besmirch your reputation, then you can only respond by being louder with the truth.
Had that passion, but weren't willing to commit their entire lives to doing that, right? It's a choice, right? You have other things, you have family, you have all these other things that you have to do. The game can't really be your number one priority. And so I was just looking at that like, man, this is gonna be fun.
I had to reset my new norm. There always had to be a new norm. So one thing we don't do is we don't have a new norm. My new norm is you get up every fucking morning at 4 o'clock and you suffer. This is your new norm. That became my new fucking life. Most people want to get out of it. I said, no, motherfucker, this is your new life. This is who you are. Your new norm is you wake up and you suffer. And I started realizing if that's my mentality, this shit ain't hard anymore. Right. Your fucking new normal is you wake up, you get in the fucking cold water, you're gonna be here till the shit's fucking done. Whenever they say you're out, you get out. So my new norm, so I do that now today. My new norm now is if I'm doing a 200-mile run, your new norm now, man, is you fucking are doing 200 fucking miles.
You really can solve a lot of male problems by getting in shape and making money. You still have problems, they're just smaller and you have more resources to handle them. The world is there for the taking for anyone who can learn from their mistakes, do what they say they were going to do, and stick with it, even if it's not sexy. What used to make a man acceptable now makes you extraordinary. The bar for winning has never been so low.